The battlefield was no longer alive. Hours ago, this place was full of screams, explosions, and bright burning lasers. Now there was only silence. A heavy, cold silence that felt thicker than smoke. The sky was dark with gray clouds, and the smell of metal, dust, and burnt ground floated in the air. Broken machines lay everywhere, human tanks cut in half, alien walkers lying on their sides, sparks still falling from their metal bodies. Human soldier Carter Hawley walked slowly across the destroyed field. His boots crunched on broken glass and burned soil. He was tired, wounded, and alone. He had lost his entire squad during the surprise attack. He tried calling them again through his radio. "Team Alpha, does anyone copy?" Static answered him, only static. Carter took a weak breath. His mind was heavy, but his training kept him moving. He needed to check the area for survivors, human or alien. Command had ordered all soldiers to sweep the battlefield after the fight. Carter was doing his duty, even though part of him hoped he wouldn't find anything. The silence was safer than another enemy. The wind moved slowly, pushing the smoke aside, and the battlefield spread out like a graveyard. Carter kept walking, his rifle ready. Every small sound made him turn his head. A falling metal piece. A spark, a humming noise from a dying alien machine. Then he heard it, a faint sound. A strange metallic echo, soft but clear. Clink, clink. He stopped. The sound repeated again. Clink, clink. Carter raised his rifle, scanning the area. His heart beat a little faster. The sound was coming from behind a fallen alien. Armored carrier. He moved closer, each step slow and careful. Probably a damaged machine, he told himself. But he didn't believe it. That sound. It felt alive. He reached the side of the wrecked carrier, and then he saw it, something huge, lying on the ground. It was not a machine. It was a Vargathi warrior, one of the strongest alien fighters known in the galaxy. They were tall, armored, powerful, and deadly in battle. This one's armor was cracked and glowing faint purple. His large frame was half buried under metal debris. His legs looked twisted, not moving at all. The alien's breathing was slow and heavy. Purple blood spread on the ground under him. Carter froze. Every human soldier was trained to fear Vargathi warriors. Their strength was 10 times a human. Their claws could cut steel. Their voices alone could shake the ground. But this warrior was broken, hurt, paralyzed. Carter kept his rifle up, but he didn't shoot. Something about the alien's condition felt wrong. The warrior looked defeated, not dangerous. Then the alien's eyes opened. 2 large glowing blue eyes looked straight at Carter. Not with anger, not with hatred. With fear. The alien tried to speak, but only a small sound came out, a weak, cracked whisper. "Help!" Carter's breath stopped. A Vargathi warrior asking for help? From a human? That was impossible. His radio suddenly crackled to life. "Soldier Hale, report your position. Any enemy presence?" Carter swallowed hard. I found one alien survivor. Is it hostile?" The voice asked sharply. Carter looked again at the alien. No, it was not hostile. It couldn't even move. But before he could answer, the alien whispered again, struggling for air. "Please, help." Carter felt a shock run through his chest. He had seen fear before in humans, during battles, during loss. But seeing fear in a Vargathi warrior was something else. Something powerful. Something painful. Command spoke again through the radio, this time louder. "Hale, do not engage. Leave the alien. Proceed to extraction point." Carter's hand tightened around his rifle. Leave him? Just leave him here to die? Carter was trained to follow orders, but he was also human. He looked at the alien's eyes again. There was no trick, no trap. Just pain. Just a dying soldier who didn't want to die alone. He moved a step closer. The alien flinched in fear, thinking Carter would shoot. Carter slowly lowered his rifle. "It's okay," he said softly, even though he knew the alien might not understand human language. "I'm not here to hurt you." The alien blinked slowly, confused but hopeful. Carter knelt beside him. The metal pieces were heavy. The wounded warrior was heavier. This decision could cost Carter his life, his command, his career, maybe even his species' trust. But Carter made his choice. He threw his rifle aside and used both hands to lift the metal off the alien's legs. The alien groaned in pain but didn't fight. Carter pulled and pushed until the debris rolled away. The alien tried to move but couldn't. His legs were dead. His armor was broken. His life was fading. Carter touched the alien's shoulder gently. "I'll get you out of here," he said. He didn't know how. He didn't know why. He only knew one thing. No one deserved to die alone on a silent battlefield. The radio shouted again, "Halle! Leave that alien immediately." But Carter had already made his choice. He lifted the alien warrior onto his shoulder, and the battlefield. Silence finally broke as Carter Halle carried his enemy into the unknown. Carter's legs shook as he carried the heavy alien warrior across the broken battlefield. Every step felt like lifting a mountain. The Vargathi warrior's armor was cold against his shoulder, and Carter could feel the alien's slow, painful breathing. The battlefield around them was silent, but Carter knew silence was never safe. Silence meant drones could be hiding. Silence meant snipers could be watching. Silence meant the next sound could be a laser shot. He kept moving. The alien's voice was faint, almost lost in the wind. "Human, why?" Carter didn't answer. At first, he didn't know what to say. Why was he doing this? He had fought Vargathi for months. He had seen what they did to human colonies. He had seen the bodies of his friends after the alien attack last night. Saving one of them made no sense, but leaving someone helpless, that felt even worse. Carter finally said in a quiet voice, "Because you asked for help." The alien's glowing blue eyes closed slowly, as if he was thinking deeply about those simple words. Suddenly the radio clipped to Carter's chest crackled again with angry voices. "Ha! Report your location immediately. Why did you drop your weapon? Do not assist the enemy." Carter ignored the commands. He pushed forward toward the broken forest at the edge of the battlefield. Smoke drifted between the trees, creating dark shadows that made the forest look alive. Behind him, the alien spoke again, voice weak. "My name's Zereth." Carter almost stumbled. Aliens rarely shared their names with humans. It was a sign of trust among Vargathi. A sign of respect. "Carter," he replied. Zereth nodded. Slightly, but his body trembled in pain. Purple blood dripped from broken armor plates. "You should leave me," Zereth said. "Your people, they will not understand." Carter breathed hard. "I know. And mine." Zereth whispered, "Mine will think you captured me." Carter stopped walking for a moment. That was true. If Zereth's soldiers found them like this, they might shoot Carter on sight. So why continue? Carter didn't know. Deep inside, maybe he just believed that saving one life, any life, was worth more than war rules. He kept walking, but fate had other plans. Sharp mechanical hum came from above. Carter's heart stopped for a second. A human scout drone. The small metal machine hovered in the smoke, its glowing red eyes scanning the ground. Carter took cover behind a burned tree, holding Zereth tighter. The drone beeped loudly. It had detected movement. Carter cursed it under his breath. He pressed his back to the tree, trying to stay hidden, but the drone moved closer. Its scanning laser passed over the fallen leaves, over the broken branches, and stopped right on Carter. Identification complete, the drone announced. Human soldier detected. Enemy presence detected. Preparing strike. Zereth's weak voice trembled. "They will kill you. To kill me." Carter whispered, "Then let's not be here when they shoot." He pushed himself up and ran. Branches slapped his face. Smoke stung his eyes. The drone fired warning shots, bright bolts of red light ripping through the trees behind them. Carter ran faster, lungs burning, legs screaming. Zereth was unbelievably heavy, but Carter didn't stop. He wouldn't leave him. Not now. The drone locked on target again. Carter reached a fallen log and dove behind it just in time as the drone fired a deadly beam that burned the ground he had just been standing on. Zereth groaned in pain. Carter grabbed him by the arm and pulled him deeper into the forest. The radio screamed in Carter's ear. "Halle, you are moving away from extraction point. Halle. Respond, Halle. You are endangering the mission." Carter pulled the radio off his vest and threw it into a muddy puddle. Silence at last. He kept dragging Zereth until they reached a narrow path surrounded by thick, dark trees. Carter was sweating heavily. His arms ached. His chest hurt from breathing. Too fast. Zereth looked at him quietly. "Human, you risk death for me." Carter leaned against a tree, exhausted. "You were alone on that battlefield, helpless. I would save anyone in that state, human or alien." Zereth stared at him with confusion. "Your kind does not think like this." Carter gave a small, tired smile. "Some of us do." For a moment, both of them stayed silent. Wind whispered through the trees. The forest felt calmer now, but danger still surrounded them. The drone might return. Human soldiers might arrive. Alien patrols might appear. Finally, Zereth spoke again, voice weak but sincere. "You made a choice today, a choice bigger than war." Carter looked at him with steady eyes. "I chose to be human." Zereth nodded slowly. His face softened, less warrior, more person. Then he warned, "My people will search for me soon. And your people will search for you. Neither side will accept this." Carter pushed aside a branch and looked deeper into the forest. "Then we need." The forest was colder than the battlefield. Tall black trees reached toward the sky like giant burnt fingers. Fog crawled low across the ground, curling around Carter's boots as he dragged Zereth deeper inside. Every sound felt sharper. Every shadow looked dangerous. Carter stopped for a moment under a fallen tree branch. His breathing was heavy, and his clothes were soaked with sweat. Zereth, resting against a large root, watched him with tired blue eyes. "You cannot run forever," Zereth said softly, his voice shaking. Carter wiped dirt from his face. "I don't need forever, just long enough." The alien tilted his head. "Long enough for what?" Carter looked at him with a serious expression. "Long enough to find a place where no one can shoot us." Zereth gave a weak laugh, which quickly turned into a cough. Purple blood dripped from a crack in his chest armor. Carter leaned closer. "You're losing blood fast. We need to move." "But..." Then something in the air changed. A low mechanical hum. Growing louder, sharper. Spreading through the forest. Carter's eyes widened. "Drones," he whispered. Zereth's body stiffened. "Your machines are searching." "No." Carter shook his head. "This sound is deeper, more power, not a scout." The humming grew into a dangerous metallic roar. Zereth understood first. A hunter drone. Carter's stomach dropped. Hunter. Drones were not built to find enemies. They were built to end them. Unlike scouts, hunters did not warn. They did not talk. They shot first and asked questions never. Carter grabbed Zereth's arm. "We have to move now." The forest erupted with bright red scanning lasers that cut through the fog like lightning. Birds burst from the trees. Leaves shook violently. The drone was close. Zereth tried to pull himself up using a broken tree, but his legs failed him. He collapsed back to the ground, breathing hard. Carter knelt beside him. "Come on, you're not dying here." "I slow you down," Zereth said, voice low. "Leave me. Save yourself." Carter stared into the alien's glowing eyes. "Not happening." The drone shot a thin laser beam across the path, melting bark off a tree. It was marking targets. Carter acted instantly. He threw Zereth's massive arm over his shoulder and pushed forward with all his strength. Every step felt like lifting a concrete wall. His muscles screamed, his lungs burned. But he didn't stop. Hunter drone broke through the fog, its metal body rotating, weapons locking onto movement. A loud robotic voice echoed. Unauthorized human behavior detected. Neutralization protocol activated. Carter muttered, "They think I'm helping." "The enemy," Zereth whispered. "Because you are." Carter responded without looking at him. "Worth it." The drone fired. A burst of red plasma shot past Carter's head, exploding against a tree. Bark flew everywhere. The ground shook. Carter ducked and rolled behind a large rock, pulling Zereth with him. The alien winced in pain. "We won't survive long," Zereth said. Carter scanned the forest. That's when he spotted something, a narrow gap between two cliffs. A tight canyon path. If they reached that gap, the drone wouldn't fit inside. Carter grabbed Zereth again. "There, that direction." They moved, branches toward Carter's arms. Stones cut his knees, but he didn't slow down. Zereth tried to help by gripping Carter's vest, but his strength was fading. Behind them, the drone screamed, "Target escape," adjusting pursuit speed. Then it accelerated. The humming turned into a violent roar as the machine flew low, blasting fog away. With its thrusters, it cut the trees down with its wings. Carter didn't look back. He couldn't. If he saw how close death was, he might freeze. Zereth looked over Carter's shoulder. His voice shook. "Carter, it is right behind us." Carter gritted his teeth. "Then we run faster." The drone fired again, plasma hitting the ground near their feet. Dirt and light exploded upward. Carter almost fell, but Zereth held onto him with what little strength he had left. They were only 20 steps away from the canyon. Gap, 15 steps. 10 steps. A sudden blast of wind hit them as the drone prepared a heavy shot. This time, it wasn't aiming to scare. It was aiming to kill. Zereth's voice trembled. "Carter, go. Leave me. If I stay still, it will target me, not you." Carter didn't stop running. "I didn't carry you across a battlefield just to leave you. Now." The drone charged its cannon. The ground glowed red under their feet. Carter took a final leap into the canyon as the drone fired. The blast hit the cliff wall instead, sending rocks falling but missing them by inches. The canyon was too narrow for the drone. It screeched in frustration and began firing at the rock walls, trying to widen the path. Rocks cracked. Dust fell everywhere. But the path held firm. Carter collapsed behind a boulder, breathing like he'd run 10 miles. Zereth leaned against the canyon wall, his body shaking. They were alive. For now. Carter wiped sweat from his forehead. That was too close. Zereth looked at him with something new in his eyes, respect, fear, and something deeper. "You risk death again for a warrior of the enemy." Carter stared back. "I risked death for someone who needed help." Zereth closed his eyes. "Then I owe you my life." The words felt heavy, powerful, dangerous. Because now the hunter drone wasn't the only threat. Both the human army and the Vargathi forces would soon come searching. And Carter and Zereth were stuck between two enemies, with nowhere left to run. The canyon path grew darker as Carter helped Zereth move forward. The walls rose higher on both sides, blocking the light. The sound of the hunter drone outside slowly faded, but the fear remained. Dust drifted in the air like tiny ghosts. And the ground was rough under Carter's boots. Zereth's breathing was getting weaker. Every few steps his eyes closed for a second too long. "We need shelter," Carter said. Zereth nodded once, barely holding on. Finally, Carter saw a shadowed opening in the canyon wall, a narrow cave mouth half covered by fallen rocks. It looked old, untouched, and most importantly, hidden. "This way," Carter whispered. He pushed aside the loose stones until the gap widened enough for Zirith. Then he supported the alien inside. The cave was cold, silent, and completely dark, except for a faint blue glow coming from cracks in Zirith's armor. Carter set him down gently against a smooth rock. The alien winced but didn't complain. For the first time since the battlefield, there was no drone sound, no radio command, no voice chasing them. Just breathing. Carter crouched next to a pile of old bones, animal bones, long dried. Whatever lived here was gone now. That made it a perfect hiding place. Zirith's voice was barely above a whisper. "Human. Your strength is strange." Carter gave a tired smile. "Humans surprise people." Zirith's eyes dimmed with pain. "And yet, your own machines want you dead." "That's our military for you," Carter muttered as he removed his gloves. "No thinking, just rules." Carter finally took a proper look at Zirith's injuries. The alien's legs were twisted. Unnaturally, the armor cracked deep into the muscle. Carter couldn't fix the legs, but he could help the bleeding. "Hold still," Carter said gently. He tore open his emergency medical kit, grabbed a coagulation patch, and pressed it against a deep wound on Zirith's side. The alien hissed. Loudly, part pain, part instinct, Carter pulled his hands back. "Sorry," Zirith shook his head. "No, continue. You help." So Carter continued, carefully, slowly. He used clean cloth to wipe away the purple blood. He adjusted the broken chest plate, tightening straps so the armor wouldn't crush deeper. He used bandages where human tech worked and left alone things. He didn't understand. Zirith watched him closely. Finally, he spoke. "You treat me like a friend." Carter stopped. Friend. They were not friends. They were not even supposed to speak to each other without shooting. Carter looked into the alien's glowing blue eyes. "I just treat you like a person." Zirith blinked slowly. "Humans and Vargathi do not call each other people. We call each other threats." "Maybe that's the problem," Carter said. The cave fell quiet again. Only their breathing echoed off the walls. Then Zirith asked something unexpected. "Why did you come back for me when the drone attacked?" Carter rubbed his tired eyes. "Because leaving someone to die. That's not who I am." Zirith looked down at his useless legs. "You carry weight heavier than me." "What do you mean?" "You carry a heart that fights your own orders." Carter didn't know how to answer. Before he could speak, a sharp crack echoed deep inside the cave. Both of them froze. Carter raised his head slowly, listening. Crack, crack. Zirith tensed. "Something is inside." Carter stood up carefully, picking up a broken metal rod from the ground. It wasn't much of a weapon, but it was something. He whispered, "Stay quiet." A low growl came from the darkness further in the cave. Not mechanical. Not alien. Animal. Carter stepped forward, adjusting his eyes to the dim light. Something moved in the shadows, 4 long legs, glowing eyes, sharp claws tapping on stone. Zirith whispered, "A cave stalker." Carter frowned. "Is that bad?" Zirith's voice dropped. "Very bad." The creature stepped into the faint armor glow, its body thin and long, like a living shadow with bone spikes along its back. Its eyes locked onto Carter first, then shifted to Z. Wrath. It sensed weakness. Carter tightened his grip on the metal rod. His heart slammed against his ribs. The stalker lunged forward. Carter moved fast. He swung the rod across the creature's face. It wasn't enough to stop it, but enough to make it stumble. It screeched loudly, the sound bouncing through the cave like a scream made of metal. Zirith pushed himself forward, using only his arms. In pain but ready to help. Carter yelled, "Saint!" He smashed the rod into the stalker's jaw, driving it sideways into a wall. The creature clawed his arm, cutting through the sleeve, drawing blood. Carter shouted but didn't let go. He pinned the stalker against the rock with all his weight. "Carter!" Zirith shouted. The creature writhed violently. Carter felt its claws scraping his shoulder, its teeth snapping close to his face. Pain shot through him, but he pressed harder until he heard a sharp crack. The stalker went still. Carter fell back, breathing hard. Zirith stared at him with astonishment. "You fought?" Without fear. Carter wiped blood from his arm. "Lie." "Fought because it was going to kill you." Zirith lowered his head. "You saved me again, even wounded." Carter sat down beside him, exhausted. "Don't worry, I'm not planning to die today." Zirith looked at him with something deeper than respect. "I have known many warriors. None like you." Carter leaned his head back against the cave wall and closed his eyes. For the first time, Carter and Zirith were not human versus alien, not soldier versus enemy, just two living beings trying to survive. But outside the cave, forces were already coming. For them, human drones, alien trackers. And the cave they hid in held more than just shadows. Their real challenge had only just begun. Asterisk, the cave grew colder as night settled outside. Carter and Zirith sat in silence, both exhausted from running and fighting. The cave stalker's body lay still near the entrance, but its shadow looked almost alive in the dim blue light from Zirith's cracked armor. Carter tore another strip of cloth from his shirt and wrapped it around his bleeding arm. Zirith watched with concern. "You are hurt," Zirith said quietly. Carter shrugged. "Just a scratch." Zirith looked at the cave stalker's sharp claws. "That creature does not give just a scratch. You bleed much." Carter forced a small smile. "And yet, here I am." Zirith lowered his head. "Because of me." Carter shook his head firmly. "No, because I chose this. I chose to help." Zirith looked away, troubled, as if the idea of a human helping him still didn't make sense. But before either could speak again, a faint noise echoed from outside the cave, a soft metallic tap, then another. Click, click. Carter stiffened instantly. Zirith tensed too, sensing danger. "That is not your drone," Zirith said. "No," Carter whispered. "That sound is heavier." Light footsteps approached the cave entrance. More than one set, soft but coordinated. Careful but confident, voices followed. Deep, layered voices speaking in the Vargathi language. Zirith froze. "My people." Carter's stomach dropped. "How many?" Zirith listened closely. 3, no, 4 warriors. Carter's mind raced. Vargathi warriors were huge, strong, and deadly. He had no weapon except the broken metal rod, and his body was tired. This was bad. Very bad. Zirith placed a shaky hand on Carter's arm. "Hide. If they see us together, they will kill you." Carter whispered back, "I'm not leaving you alone." Zirith spoke with desperation. "My people do not listen first. They strike. They will think you captured me." Something about the way Zirith said it, afraid for Carter, hit differently, but it was too late. A bright blue glow pierced through the cave entrance. The heavy footsteps echoed louder. 4 Vargathi warriors appeared, their armor shining with bright runes, their eyes glowing with suspicion and rage. They froze when they saw Zirith on the ground. "Sarith, Commander." "What happened?" One warrior shouted in shock. Zirith opened his mouth to speak, but his voice cracked. The warriors immediately noticed Carter beside him. Their eyes turned wild. One of them aimed a bioplasma rifle, shouting, "Human, drop your weapon." Carter raised his hands slowly, stepping in front of Zirith. "Wait, listen." They didn't listen. The largest warrior moved forward, baring his sharp teeth. "Step away from our commander, now." Carter didn't move. He stood tall, even though fear burned inside him. His legs trembled, but his voice stayed steady. Your commander is alive because of me. The warriors growled, tightening their grip on their weapons. The cave oozed tension. Zirith tried to speak again. No, not enemy. But his voice failed, and the warriors didn't hear him. They thought Carter had hurt their commander. One of them roared, "Human soldier! You will pay for harming him." Carter glared back. "I didn't harm him. I saved him, twice." The warriors didn't care. They stepped closer, forming a half circle, ready to strike. Zirith tried to push himself forward, but his legs wouldn't move. Pain flashed across his face. The tallest warrior snarled, "Move away, human." Carter shook his head. "If you want to hurt him, you'll have to get through me." The warriors stopped. They looked at each other in confusion. No human had ever stood in front of a Vargathi commander to protect him. Ever. The tall warrior tilted his head. "You defend him? From us?" "Yes," Carter said, without hesitation. "Why?" The warrior demanded. "What do you gain?" "Nothing," Carter answered. Then he added softly, "And everything." The tension in the cave shifted. The warriors hesitated, conflicted, confused. Zirith placed a shaky hand on Carter's back. "Let me speak," he whispered. Carter stepped aside slightly, letting Zirith face his own people. Zirith's voice was weak but clear. "This human saved my life." The warriors froze. "He lifted me from the battlefield," Zirith continued. "Carried me when I could not walk, fought a hunter drone, and protected me from a cave stalker." Zirith pointed at Carter. "He's the reason I breathe now." The warriors were stunned. One lowered his weapon, then the next. Then all of them. The tallest warrior looked at Carter with new eyes. "You risked death for a Vargathi commander?" Carter nodded. "Yes." The warrior dropped to one knee. Vargatha gesture of deep respect. "You have our honor, human." Zirith took a deep breath, relief flooding his face. No more fighting. But Carter noticed something outside the cave. A red glow, a familiar sound, human drones. Multiple. Coming fast. Carter's voice tightened. "Your men are here, but so are mine." The warriors turned toward the cave entrance. Bright red lights appeared through the fog, dozens of them. Zirath whispered, "The true battle is coming." Carter nodded, gripping the metal rod like a real weapon. Neither side would trust what they saw in that cave, and both sides were about to collide. Carter stood beside Zirith. Zirith's warriors stood beside Carter. For the first time in the war, human and Vargathi stood together. But the world outside wasn't ready for that. Not yet. Asterisk, outside the cave. Red lights multiplied like angry eyes in the fog. Human drones hovered in a tight formation, surrounding the canyon. Their engines buzzed like metal wasps ready to strike. Inside the cave, Carter stood tall with the metal rod in his hand. Zirith's warriors formed a protective half-circle around their injured commander. The tension was thick, like the air before a storm. The tallest Vargathi warrior spoke in a low warning. "Human soldier, your machines are preparing to fire." Carter swallowed. "I know. They will kill us all," another warrior growled. "Maybe," Carter said, "but only if we give them a reason." Zirith looked at him with pain and confusion. "You stand between two armies who both want blood." Carter gave a weak smile. "Yeah, I noticed." A loud voice boomed from a drone outside. "Human soldier Carter Hale. Step forward and surrender immediately." Carter's heart dropped. They knew his name. Zirith's warriors looked at him sharply. "Surrender?" one hissed. "So they can execute you for helping our commander?" Carter took a slow breath. "They won't execute me." The warriors stared at him. Carter corrected himself softly. "Not right away." Before anyone could speak further, the drones fired a warning blast. A shockwave shook the cave walls. Dust rained from the ceiling. Zirith winced as the vibrations hit his broken legs. The drones announced again. "Alien forces detected." Neutralizing. In 10 seconds, the Vargathi warriors raised their weapons, eyes glowing fiercely. The cave trembled with their growls. Zurith's voice broke through it all. No, you fire, they fire back. Everyone dies. Carter looked at him. Then someone has to stop this. Zurith frowned. Who? Carter turned toward the cave entrance. Me. Zurith's eyes widened. Carter, no. But Carter was already stepping forward. The tallest Vargathi warrior grabbed his arm. You go out there, you die. Carter gently pulled his arm away. If I stay in here, you die. Zurith tried to rise using only his arms, but his strength failed him. He fell back and shouted, Human, do not do this. You owe me nothing. Carter looked back at the alien commander he had carried across a battlefield. His voice was calm, steady. I owe you the same thing you tried to give me. Trust. Without another word, he walked toward the blinding red light. Zurith reached after him, but Carter had already stepped outside. The outside WRL fog was thick, glowing red from the drone lights. The air vibrated with the hum of charging weapons. A dozen drones faced him, their cannons warming up. Carter raised both hands slowly. Hold your fire. One drone projected an amplified voice. Carter Hale, you are under arrest for assisting the enemy. Carter stood firm. I did what was right. The drone responded coldly. Right or wrong is not your duty. War protocol is your duty. Carter clenched his teeth. Then the protocol is broken. Behind him, Zurith's warriors stood at the cave entrance. They did not raise their weapons, but their stance was ready. They looked like shadows ready to leap. The drones aimed simultaneously. If anyone fired a single shot, war would explode. Here and now. Carter realized something terrifying. The drones weren't going to arrest him. They were going to use heavy fire to eliminate LL targets, including him. Carter whispered, Damn. A drone voice spoke again. Final warning. Step away from the alien forces. Carter didn't move. Instead, he shouted back, Listen to me. They're not here to kill you. They came for their commander. Just like we would. The drones didn't respond. Their targeting lines glowed brighter. Zurith shouted from inside. The cave. Carter, move. But Carter stood his ground. The drone cannons charged, glowing hot, whining loudly. Carter made the only choice he had left. He stepped forward, raising his hands higher, placing himself directly between the drones and the cave. I'm right here. He yelled, If you want to shoot someone, shoot me. The drones paused. Only for a second, but that second was everything. Inside the cave, Zurith felt something break inside him. Pain, fear, respect, something beyond war. He shouted, voice shaking, Carter. No! A drone cannon fired. A bright, burning beam of energy shot straight toward Carter's chest. Zurith screamed, but at the very last instant, the tallest Vargathi warrior lunged forward and grabbed Carter by the vest, pulling him sideways. The beam hit the ground, blasting dirt everywhere. Carter fell hard, coughing. The warrior snarled, You fool, you want to die? Carter growled back, I wanted to stop them from killing you. Before either could speak again, all drones locked back onto the cave. Dozens of red lasers circled around Carter, the warriors, and the cave entrance. This time, the drones would not miss. Zurith crawled forward, using only his arms, placing himself between Carter and the approaching machines. His voice was weak but powerful. You kill him. You kill me. The drones registered the threat. Alien commander and human soldier standing together, something no machine protocol understood. The drones hesitated again, but their cannons continued charging, ready to fire. Carter knew what was coming next. He knew someone wasn't leaving this canyon alive. Asterisk, the canyon was filled with red light. Dozens of human drones floated in a circle, aiming directly at the cave entrance. Their engines hummed like angry machines ready to erase everything inside Carter, Zirith, and the Vargathi warriors. Zirith pushed himself forward using his arms, dragging his broken legs behind him. He placed his large body between Carter and the drones, shielding the human soldier. Carter grabbed Zirith's shoulder. "Zirith, stop, they'll kill you." Zirith's voice was low but steady. "If they kill you, then the war will never end." The Vargathi warriors stood behind them, confused but loyal to their commander. They had spent their lives fighting humans, yet here they were standing beside one. Carter stepped next to Zirith. "If we show fear, both sides fire. If we show strength, maybe they stop." Zirith nodded. "Then we stand together." Carter and Zirith stood side by side, one human, one alien facing a full circle of drones. A drone voice boomed through the canyon. "Targets locked. Prepare for elimination." Carter shouted, "Wait, we are not fighting. Stand down." The drones ignored him. Zirith tried too, roaring in his native language, "Nurak Thun, cease fire." But drones had no respect for alien orders. They only followed human programming. Carter felt his heart pounding hard. His hands shook, but he kept them raised. The air grew hotter as the drone cannons charged to full power. If they fired now, the entire canyon would turn into a burning crater. Carter whispered to Zirith, "If this is the end, at least we tried." Zirith closed his eyes. "If this is the end, I die with honor." The drones prepared to fire. Light grew brighter, heat grew stronger. And then something unexpected happened. A Vargathi warrior stepped forward, dropping his plasma rifle on the ground. The weapon clattered loudly, echoing through the canyon. The drones instantly tracked him, but then a second warrior dropped his weapon. Then the third. Then the fourth. All four alien warriors stood in front of Carter and Zirith, empty-handed, chests lifted proudly. A sign of surrender, a sign of peace. Carter felt shock tighten his chest. "What are you doing?" The tallest warrior answered, "If you stand for our commander, we stand for you." Zirith's voice cracked with emotion. "My brothers." The canyon fell silent for a moment, red lights flickering across alien armor and human skin. The drones' logic system struggled to process the new situation. Multiple alien soldiers dropping their weapons, standing between the target and their own commander, protecting the human soldier. This was outside all protocol. A robotic voice repeated, "Processing, processing, processing." Then a new voice came through Carter's damaged radio. Not robotic, human. "Carter, this is Captain Rilland. What the hell is happening down there?" Carter grabbed the radio. "Captain, the aliens are surrendering. They're not attacking. They're protecting me." Static, shocked breathing. Then a slow reply, "Explain." Carter took a deep breath. His voice trembled with truth. "They're not our enemies today. I saved their commander, and they saved me from your drones. Captain, we need to stop this fight before we kill each other for nothing." Silence again. The drones kept aiming. One command from Captain Rilland would decide everything, war or peace. Zirith watched the drones with calm eyes. "Your people will choose death," he said softly. "No," Carter said. "Not if they listen." Finally, Captain Rilland spoke. "Carter, step aside. Drones need a clear shot." Carter went cold. "Captain, no. Those are alien warriors, soldier. They're unarmed." Carter shouted, "And they trust me." Another pause. "You risked your life for an alien?" The captain asked, voice full of disbelief. Carter looked at Zirith. Zirith looked back. Then Carter answered, clear and strong, "I risked my life for a warrior who needed help." "That's what humans do." Zirith blinked slowly. Something like respect and something like hope passed through his eyes. Captain Rilland's voice finally softened. "Carter, step back. Let me think." But Carter didn't step back. He stepped forward. He raised his voice to the sky, to every drone, to every soldier watching the live feed. "If you shoot now," he said, "you kill the only chance we have for peace." Silence followed. No one moved. Zirith placed a hand on Carter's shoulder. "You speak for both our worlds now." Carter whispered back, "I hope they listen." Seconds felt like hours. Then Captain Rilland gave the order that would change history. "Drones, stand down." Every drone lifted its cannon. Red lights turned white. Weapons powered off. For the first time since the war began, humans disarmed. First, Carter felt his knees weaken with relief. Zirith exhaled deeply. "You did it, human." "No," Carter said. "We did it." The Vargathi warriors bowed to Carter, a gesture never shown to a human before. Zirith lowered his head as well. A commander bowing to a simple soldier. "You saved my life," Zirith said, "and today you saved many more." Carter placed his hand over his heart. "You would have done the same." Zirith answered with a faint smile. "Perhaps, if I had met a human like you." The canyon flooded with the soft sound of drones lifting away into the sky. War did not end that day. But something much bigger began. A story, a legend, a moment where one human soldier stood between two armies and chose courage over fear, compassion over hate. Carter Hawley became the symbol that peace was possible. Zirith became the alien who proved trust could cross galaxies, and together they changed the future.